Hello and welcome to HT Movie Talk. I am your host, Dean's Beans, and as always, I'm joined by Fluffy Duffy. If I was an archaeologist, he would be my whip. He would be my fear of snakes. He would be my trusted hat. Hello, Harlan.
You, what does that mean? There is no like common denominator between those three items.
Yeah, they are. Indiana
What is it?
Jones has all three constantly.
Not constantly.
Okay, sure. I mean, he pretty constantly has that hat on his head. I'm not going to lie, it's pretty
Not
crazy.
when he's not adventuring.
Yeah, that's true. But when I'm podcasting, I'm adventuring, and when I'm
Oh,
not podcasting, you're not here. If you haven't,
you're
should we
having a
just start
blast,
again?
aren't you?
No.
All
This
right,
week,
what are we talking about today?
this week is a very special week for me personally because we're talking about a film I vaguely remember from my childhood, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. We're here. I didn't mean to drop that. We're here to talk about the good. We're here to talk about the bad, and then we're here to improve this film.
Yes, this is our series called The Silver Lining,
Yes,
which we haven't done for a while,
a long, long, long time. The
and I
last time we did
think
it was Mario.
yeah, I think that has a big part to doing it because that was just awful to get through.
No, I stand by that film.
No, you don't. What
I
did you
think
give
it's
it?
fun. I think it's silly
Oh
and
my
fun.
God. No, that's why we stopped doing because we disagreed so harshly.
Anyway, speaking of silly and fun, what are your overall thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull? It's too long a name for a film.
So this movie is widely accept not wildly, that's the wrong word. Commonly
Right.
accept commonly known as the worst Indiana Jones movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's a lot of argument on that.
No, I'd agree it's the worst one. I haven't seen Dial of Destiny,
Me either.
and I never will. Continue.
Me either. Anyways,
Political correctness gone mad. Continue. That's a joke.
um I don't think this movie is as bad as everybody makes it out to be.
I 100% agree. I think it's a pretty good film.
I enjoyed myself watching it.
Yeah. What would you get? I enjoy this film, and I enjoyed it more than I was expecting. And I even remember watching this probably around when it came out when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and thinking, "Wow, this is pretty dumb." And I did think that, but I had fun watching it, and I was like, "This is." I don't usually. The only time I get as much joy out of watching one of the films we do for the Silver Lining is like when we do something like Batman and Robin, when I'm like, this is really bad.
Right. Like Batman and Robin is I didn't like Batman and Robin, even as
No, I
like
mean,
a
I didn't like it, but yeah.
no, like liking it for how bad it is. Like I did I just I hated it for how bad it was. But going to Indiana Jones, I would argue that like this movie might be the closest example to like maybe not even we it does need a revamp from we there are things that we could change to make the movie better,
Yeah.
but like it's maybe if I had to rate it out of 10, like it wouldn't be low.
No, I like this film and I think we should start talking about it. I've been meaning to ask you this because I think it's one of the cutest film stories ever, and I think it's real fluffy duffy material. This is slightly off topic.
Go
Have you
ahead.
ever made a video about how George Lucas and Steven Spielberg came up with the idea of Indiana Jones while building a sandcastle together?
No,
Did you know this?
I didn't.
So every time George Lucas released a film, he would go on vacation, as you would call it, because he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want to be there when reviews start coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And when Star Wars Episode 4 was released, the first Star Wars film, he went on holiday, I believe to Hawaii, with with Steven Spielberg because they're good friends. And Steven Spielberg's like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, this film's gonna be good. And while they were on holiday, they were talking about how they both wanted to make a James Bond film, but
Mm.
they didn't have the rights. And then George Lucas was like, oh, but I had this idea for like an adventuring archaeologist and blah blah blah. And they're just on a beach in Hawaii on holiday together. And then Steven Spielberg's like, yeah, we should make that film. And then they made that film.
My video today, or probably tomorrow, because I'm moving today, um, is about like the production nightmare of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of Lost Ark. But that's more about like the actual production, not the.
I just think
creation of it.
that story always. I think George Lucas is a cute guy. Like, there's
He is
lot
a
of
very
stuff
cute
I
guy.
hear about him, and I'm like, that guy's cute, you know. Apart from like when he tells Carrie Fisher not to wear a bra. Apart from that, he's pretty cute.
Oh, what a dog. Anyways, okay, so should we talk about the good first, right?
Don't ask me. I asked you that. Yeah, we talk about the good first.
We talk about the good. We got the good and bad, and we fix that.
Yeah.
Starting off with the good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll start off with the beginning of this movie.
Okay.
And I don't know how you feel about this, but do you feel like the refrigerator scene is good or bad? Where does that fall on your list?
I like it in practice, or maybe I like it in theory, but I don't like it the other way. You know,
Mm.
like I like all of it. Okay, I'll put it this way: I like all of it up until he gets in the fridge. I think that's not the best way out of the situation, but I do enjoy him running into the town and like running up to people and getting and like falling over a mannequin on a bike and like getting all flustered. I'm like, this is quite funny. But then when he's like, I'll get in the fridge and then he's completely fine, I'm like,
From like a nuclear blast.
yeah.
And that's where like this movie, I feel like I'm not gonna go out there and claim to be like a big Indiana Jones guy because I'm not.
Yeah.
I like the movies, but like it's not my top 5 franchises of all time. But Indiana Jones, the movies are always like goofy, but to a realistic standard.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way a fridge is gonna.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So like that, it's hard to suspend your disbelief when that happens.
Yeah. After watching this film, having not seen Dial of Destiny, and I never will because it's political correctness gone mad because there's a woman. Sorry, I've just been reading a lot of posts online of like I'm just like reading the wrong things where people are really angry that there's like a woman in the new Indiana Jones film.
Of course.
I'm really enjoying reading that stuff because it's so stupid. I think it's like a very consistent franchise as far as franchises go.
Yes.
I think it's very consistent.
Consistent in terms of what?
Like
quality?
Yeah, quality. Yeah, I did mean quality, but also just in kind of like stakes and like they're consistent in terms of how like what the films themselves and like the content of the films and like the structure and like not in a way that makes them boring.
I can't say this for Dial of Destiny because I haven't seen it,
and you never will,
and I never will. But
why will you never watch it?
Well, I'm not, sexist like you, but I just
gone.
Is it? I hate old people.
It's okay. I was going to say, is it because Shia LaBeouf isn't in it and you love Shia LaBeouf?
I do want to get to Shia. I don't love Shia LaBeouf, but
anyway, what were you saying before I rudely interrupted you about consistency?
The atmosphere and the way the movie looks feels like it wasn't released in 2007. Yeah. Besides the like special effects, like some of the it feels like the tone of it and the look of the movie is very consistent with the 80, 90 like tone that they had in there too.
Yeah. I feel. No, yeah, I get that. I get that. I think I can't think of a franchise that goes on for however many films and doesn't have a bad one. So I think it's good on Indiana Jones. I don't think you do know this about me, is that I've recently become a bit of a Rocky fanboy after watching Rocky.
Oh, okay.
And I think those films are very similar in the way that they are consistent.
Isn't Rocky 5? Isn't
Rocky
that awful?
5's bad. That's what I was about to say. There's one
Hmm,
exception, but there's 9 films compared to 5, so I think they're allowed one bad.
fair enough.
But yeah, that's kind of what I felt when I was like, these are consistent and they kind of all feel the same in a good way.
How do you feel about Shia LaBeouf's character?
I like him.
I like him too. I like the whole like greaser dynamic to him and how there's also like the frat boys or the what are they called?
Are they greasers or something like that?
No, the greasers, those are the ones with slick back hair. But then they're preps or
Yes.
something,
I
something
mean,
like
I
that.
was I wasn't alive in the '60s, believe it or not.
Well, I guess it is like kind of American culture, those sort of that those teams.
Yeah. And
But
also, Shia LaBeouf is not a nice person. It's our
no, but
conversation all over again. I mean, he's not as bad as Ezra Miller, as far as I know.
yeah,
He's insane.
Shia LaBeouf is a weird dude though.
I did do
But
some reading about him um, while watching the film, and he
about
does
this him in this movie,
no, just about him as a person,
oh,
and he does our favorite thing.
what is that?
He method acts,
Oh, of course he does.
and he
He's
to get into character for his character in the film, the tax collector. He was shooting stray dogs with a gun. Not even
oh,
Jared Leto did that.
not even Jared Leto did that. And that's saying a lot. Anyways, uh, uh
He's also strange,
going away from that.
Ezra Miller style. You know, continue.
Um, anyways, the movie sets him up to kind of be like the next Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
And
I
I
got
think if
the
this movie
feeling.
was more received, we would have gotten that.
I think you're right. I actually like shouted at my TV at the bit of the end when he picked up the hat and was about to put it on.
What you say?
I was like, no, don't put it. I said, I don't know. I was like, don't put that hat on because I was like, I don't want to see bad setup. I mean, I just can't see how it would have worked. Like, even if this was a great film and it was well received and everyone loved it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how he would work because
No,
he's not an archaeologist. He's not into an intellectual.
and he's not. Yeah, he doesn't have the same charm and charisma as Indiana
That's
Jones.
true.
I don't mind his character
Yeah, yeah.
when
But
he's on screen. I'm not
he's
like
leading man.
get out of here.
He really feels like he's stumbling through this film, which is like amazing because that's like all Indiana Jones ever does.
That's true. Um, what are some other good parts of this movie that you like?
I liked this is a small thing, but I wrote this down because I thought I'd forget it. I like the jokes about how Mutt's gonna have to go back to school. They made me laugh.
That was a good joke.
I like I like that whole twist, and I think it's done well with him being revealed as Indy's son. I think maybe
Mm,
there's not enough development with it, but I don't think you want to do the twist earlier on in the film because I think all the build up makes the twist better.
yeah, I agree with you. Um, yeah, I the motorcycle is fun.
Yeah,
There's a pretty good chase scene in this movie
which
involving
one?
that when they're like going through the college town.
Yeah, yeah. The
Um,
ending's a bit ropey, but
how do you feel about that Shia LaBeouf swinging scene?
it's fine.
Going, yeah, I feel like that's like a big point of like, look at how bad this movie is. The
Yeah,
rope swinging scene, but
it's
it's
fine.
fine.
I really like the joke in the library where the guy's like, "Oh, Mr. Dr. Jones, I need help with this," and
Oh,
he helps him. And then he
yeah,
goes,
that's good.
"Yeah," but yeah, I've
Is that
mixed.
what you meant by ropey?
No, by ropey, I mean I don't. I like it is a bit dumb, like in a bad way, when he's just skidding the motorbike through the library.
Yeah, they move. What by what you meant by ropey? I thought you were making reference to the obvious wire work that was going on in that scene.
Yeah, how they just get dragged along the floor.
Yeah, the Harrison Ford just goes like at a direct 90-degree angle,
Yeah,
180-degree angle, just like for 30 feet.
yeah. I was
Probably more
admittedly
than
about
that.
to say for 30 feet. That's weird.
No, you weren't. Don't lie to me.
No, I wasn't. No, I was.
Liar.
Okay. Uh, Do you know what my favorite scene of this film probably is?
Hmm.
The dry sand scene.
That one sticks out to me very much so.
I think because the past, like I said, the reveal is done really well. Um,
Hmm.
I like Indy being all smart, and then I like the snake bit. I really do like. I like it. I'm scared of snakes. I'm
Really?
man enough to admit that. Like I don't like I don't have like massive. I don't have phobias of anything apart from snakes. And I'm not like, oh, I'm a big tough man. Nothing scares me. But I'm like, I don't like heights, dark, spiders. I don't have an issue with. But then snakes, oh, whoa, they freak me out.
I don't understand people say snakes are cute.
Yeah.
I don't get that. I don't like snakes,
Mm-hmm.
but if hmm, if you had to grab a snake or a spider, both big, which one do you choose?
Oh,
Neither was our point of this.
spider.
Mm.
I'm not that bad with spiders. Snakes freak me out. There's a zoo that I used to go to like every year.
And you got attacked by snakes?
No, nothing that traumatic. There's a snake there, and people always think I'm exaggerating, but I have since brought someone to this zoo who has confirmed that I wasn't exaggerating. That snake is like the size of like its body is like the size of three of my bodies. Like that's how thick it is and long.
Whoa.
And like it was in an enclosure like below my waist, so you have to like duck down to look through the glass. And
Hmm.
I was looking around the zoo with my friend's younger sister, who was like 8 years old, 9 years old.
How old were you? Like 14,
I would have been
12?
16.
Oh, okay.
And then she went, oh, look in this cage, it's really cool, like looking through this glass, it's really cool. And we were in like a room already, and I went down, I looked at this snake, and then I had to leave the room because I actually felt like I was going to faint. And I've never had an experience like that in my life, and I haven't since. But that snake really freaked me out. And then 2 years later, I went back to this zoo, and I'd talked about the snake quite a bit since then. And then the
Hmm.
person I was with looked at the snake and were like, "Oh, you weren't exaggerating. That is a big snake." And I just didn't look at it that time, but it's a big snake.
That's kind of awesome. That's kind of an awesome story. Um,
Why is that the
my
reaction?
grandpa has
Yeah.
like an he has like a very big phobia of snakes.
Mm.
Like can't do it. Like if there's a snake in a movie, you have to tell him before you turn the movie on.
No, that's the same with my nan. My nan cannot watch us like look at a picture of a snake. It freaks her out too much.
And in kindergarten, so I was 5 years old. That's what kindergarten is. There was like they had a big class assembly,
Yeah.
and a guy came in with all these reptiles,
Hmm.
and he had a huge boa, like yellow boa constrictor. Do you know what those look like?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was chosen to get it put on me.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I had it around my neck, picture taken. And the first thing my parents said to me is like, you should show that to grandpa. And I did. It was a huge magnet, and he did not appreciate it.
Funny. My nan is a massive fan of Harry Potter. Like she read all the books.
Uh-oh.
She has not seen the last three or four films because she's scared of snakes and she knows a snake is in part of it.
I showed my grandpa Bullet Train,
Yeah. Is there a snake in that? Oh, there is. Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
like deadly one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like halfway through the movie, I was like, by the way, there's about to be a poisonous snake that becomes a big part of the story. Just watch out. And he was like, what? And it jumped out of like the crate.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm not too bad at like I can watch a snake on a screen. It will give me the heebie-jeebies, but like I will be fine with it. But just seeing one in person, just ooh. I mean, I don't. It's not like I don't have snakes wandering around my countryside, unlike you.
Yeah. If you went, mm, there's always a possibility there is a snake around.
Yeah. My auntie who lives in America is also like that scared of snakes as well, and like she's had a few run-ins that I've heard about.
You know what geeks me out more? Water
Mhm.
snakes.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Like you're in a lake
Yeah,
and
yeah.
your foot touches something slimy, and it's like, was that a rock or was that a
Don't.
water snake?
Oh, you give me the heebie-jeebies. We've gone very off topic, but
We
I hope
have
our
snake talk.
listeners will
It's Indiana
appreciate
Jones.
this.
It's kind of on topic.
Yeah, fear of snakes.
Okay,
I like that they were like, how can we humanize this character of Indiana Jones? Let's give him a fear of snakes. I like that as a character trait.
so do you want to talk about the bad? Because I think I have a better way of talking about the
Go
bad for
on.
this movie.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I
yeah.
have a link pulled up from
We
Screen
like
Rant.
most of this film, but yes, go on.
Yeah. So like I want to look at the things that like most people dislike that most people that dislike this movie, what parts of it they dislike.
Yes.
Okay. So um the first complaint was the nuke fridge scene,
Yeah, we've talked about that.
which
It is daft. I like that. You never said what you thought about that fully.
um it's been a I don't think it necessarily fits the tone of the movie and it's very like and then it's accompanied by the bad CGI gopher.
Yeah.
Like it's just a little silly, a little bit too silly.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. I'm not like, oh my god, can you get a load of this? What malarkey? It's just ridiculous. But I'm not like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. The next big complaint is the Indiana Jones alien story was too confusing. And there's a little piece of this to add on to the head on to all of it, is because um before they released this movie, there was like an Indiana Jones children's cartoon
Yes. Yeah.
of which played a little bit more with like sci-fi elements. And Lucasfilms, I think George Lucas specifically, like his kind of goal with it for this movie was to make it like a 50s B
movie.
movie
And can I
sci-fi.
can I just talk about that a moment? Because that's why
Yeah.
I let off a lot of the cheesy and sci-fi elements, because I think all the Indiana Jones films, having not seen Dial of Destiny and never will, because they punch Nazis, and I think that's wrong. That was a joke. I might have taken it a step too far there. But are you frozen?
No.
No, you were stuck in one very specific pose of just contemplation. But anyway, um, like the first three Indiana Jones films, which are all set in the 30s, kind of have an influence from 30s cinema. Like there's a bit of Casablanca in the like cinematography and all of that, and I appreciate that. And they continue that in this film because it's set in the 50s. They were like, oh, let's make this like a film from the 50s, a lot of which are bad, and I think that's causes some of the issues in this.
Mm, yeah. Um, but how much do you mind the aliens?
I don't mind it until they show up at the end.
Yeah. And then it gets I agree.
You
I
know,
don't think it really the crystal skull looks really cool.
it does.
It's a cool prop,
It is a cool prop.
but I I do think Indiana Jones, at least going back to its lane, being like the Dial of Destiny, like that's like a very
Yeah.
fantasy.
Yeah, like I don't have an issue with them like saying, oh, there are aliens in this world in theory, because a lot of it is just like high concept. Like it's kind of like Scooby Doo without the reveal at the end. Because I feel like
Mm,
every time I watch an Indiana Jones film, I'm waiting for the reveal that, oh, the artifact actually isn't magic and it's this, this, and this, but those reveals never come. And that's not like a complaint, it's just an observation of mine. It's like the Ark of the Covenant.
I think it kind of makes sense because like not like what you're saying makes sense because a lot of Indiana Jones is like rooted in like, oh, this is a real world. Like he's a teacher too, and like he's explaining all this, and then it's like, oh, never mind. We're throwing up that out the window. But like it's fun. So
Yeah, yeah. It's like the line in the Dial of Destiny trailer where he's like, I've seen things in my life that I can't explain. And I'm like, that's kind of what I like
yeah.
about Indiana Jones. It's that it's a weird choice. I don't think it happens a lot where they're like, oh, this is the Ark of the Covenant and it can kill people. And Indiana Jones, like, oh, yeah, that's not real. And then it is just the Ark of the Covenant and there's no twist on that. And it just does what it
Mm,
says. And then
right.
that's like what the film is. And I'm like, yeah, fair enough.
All right. The next big complaint is the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull relies on bad CGI.
It's not awful.
I like the only things that really stick out to me are like the gophers and the swinging scene.
Yeah, and I think there's bad green screen in like that big chase scene, which I
Yeah,
did notice. But it's not like it doesn't destroy the film for me, and it looks better than The Flash.
it does look better. That's what I was gonna say. Like, what's movie came out 2007, right?
Yeah, maybe 2008. I don't know. I'll have a look. But yeah, it looks better. And that's
Um,
kind of I mean, you always it's 2008.
oh,
You always forgive it a bit when it is,
yeah.
you know,
The
15
next
years old.
complaint is the action and villains weren't up to standard for Indiana Jones.
Sorry, the what on villains?
The action.
I kind of get the action complaint because, and I feel like that is partially because of the CGI, but
Mm,
also Harrison Ford's an old man in this.
yes. There's one joke in this where I think Shia LaBeouf goes, "How old are you? 80?"
Yeah,
And then Harrison Ford looks like, how can you say that to me? But the next movie, he's actually going to be 80.
yeah, he's 65 in this film, which
How
is
is he
an
going to be in
old
the
man.
next one?
He's 80 years old now. So
Mm.
he was probably like 78, 77 maybe when they filmed it. But
Um,
I think I don't know what I would do to fix it. That like bad action. I agree. I don't like the villain particularly, but like I cannot remember like a real standout Indian. No, I like the guy in Temple of Doom, but like Indiana Jones isn't known for great villains.
yeah, and like a big complaint here is like, oh, Steven Spielberg didn't want to use Nazis, so instead he used Soviet Union, blah blah blah. But like, I think the Soviet Union being here makes sense because it's the era of the Cold War.
Yeah, it's the 50s, and then I like the fact that they're bringing back Nazis for Dial of Destiny because
Oh,
the
there.
whole conspiracy theory. Well, not the fact that like all the Nazi scientists helped the US with the space race and all that.
Mm,
I don't know. I was about to call it conspiracy theory.
no, yeah, that
I
is.
was like, no, that happened.
Um, it is interesting though, looking at this, Steven Spielberg didn't want to include Nazis in this movie because of his realistic portrayal in the Schindler's List.
Yeah,
And it like geeked him out too much. Just go back to like stereotypical things when
yeah, I
they
get that,
worked
and
on it.
also like it would be difficult to put the Nazis in like the mid 50s when this film takes place.
Right, exactly.
Like it works in the 60s because that's 20 years, 25 years
Mhm.
later.
Next complaint: Kingdom of the Crystal Skull turned Indy into a joke. I don't think I agree with that
I don't agree.
personally,
He's still
because
the cool guy.
he's still the cool guy. He's old. They poke jokes at that, but he always kind of he Indiana Jones always messes up and has to find a
That's
way to fix it.
that's true. He is a bit of a goof.
So like,
He's still like the leader, and no one really questions that in this film. But
right, yeah, I agree. Um, so those are all the big complaints
mhm.
that
I
are
have some complaints.
okay. What are your complaints?
I don't really like Oxley.
Oh, the traitor that turns on him twice.
No, the insane guy.
Oh, the insane guy. Yeah.
I think that's weirdly dumb. Um, and it disappoints me because John Hurt, the guy who plays him, I adore. John Hurt was an amazing actor. He was in
Oh, when he
Alien.
died.
He's in Alien. He's the guy who has the alien come out of his chest.
Oh, I haven't
In,
seen Alien.
in Harry Potter, he gives Harry Potter his wand.
Oh,
He
I
plays the
think he's
Doctor.
in. Have you ever seen Snowpiercer?
No,
Um, he's in that movie too.
he plays the Doctor.
Oh, he's the doctor.
He is the Doctor.
Oh,
8.5.
hmm.
I'm
God,
just
it's
like,
all kind of confusing.
yeah, Harlan doesn't know anything about Doctor Who. He basically it's revealed that there was a doctor between the eighth and the ninth Doctor, and it's John Hurt, and he's a real mean guy, and he's like all miserable, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh,
And he
fun.
hangs out with David Tennant and Matt Smith, and they're like, "Why you got to be so miserable?" And he's like, "Oh, it's because I killed like billions of people." And they're like, "Oh, fair enough, bro."
Oh my God.
He did kill billions of people.
Okay. What a rascal.
You're gonna watch
Um,
Doctor Who. I've got plans for it.
we're gonna watch Doctor Who.
I said you're gonna watch Doctor Who.
Oh,
I think the plan was to get you to watch the 60th anniversary and see if it makes any sense to you.
when's that coming out?
November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It won't, but we'll
Any-
do it.
anyway,
Any more complaints?
let me have a look. I do think a lot the action is a bit eh.
Well, when I try to think of the action, the things that stand out to me are the car chase where like Shia LaBeouf and Kate Blanchett have the sword fight.
Yeah, I like the sword fight.
Yep, me too. Um, there's the one where Indiana Jones is like running through the boxes, like that chase scene in the storage
Yeah.
house. Um,
There's the all the racist tribe people who just show up and do nothing twice.
oh yeah, and you just have to run away from it and then they disappear.
It happens twice.
Like, yeah, okay. I think that's a fair complaint.
That is very Indiana Jones. Not to excuse it. I don't think it's going to
Nope,
happen in Dial of Destiny.
hopefully not. It might.
I don't. There's no way they're doing that in a film in 2023.
I don't know. I mean, it's not getting great reviews, so
Yeah, but also they're like, oh, this film is too woke because there's a woman in it.
okay.
Am I the only person that's reading this stuff online? Have you seen anything about that?
I'm avoiding everything I can about this movie because
I
I'm
just
never
keep
going to
seeing
see
stuff
it.
of like people posting screenshots of just men being like, "Go woke, go broke." Phoebe Waller Bridges destroying Indiana Jones. Whatever. Who cares?
Hmm. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Anyway,
No, we
I
won't.
do kind of agree that the mystery is too complicated.
For the Crystal Skull,
Yeah.
it does get like convoluted. Doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know how I'd necessarily fix it.
No, that's something to talk about. My last question was going to be, what do you think of the guy, Ray Winstone of Black Widow fame? What do you think about him being?
Oh, that's where I recognize him from.
Yeah, he's Dreykov.
I don't like him
He's a
in the
great,
movie.
there's a lot of really good. I watched this with my mum, and I was like, why is everyone in this film, apart from like Indiana Jones and his family, English or Russian? There's no Americans in this film. Like the dean at the university is English. Oxley is English. The guy who he betrays, who betrays him, is English.
Because English people sound funny.
Yeah. Anyway, what do
Yeah,
you think of the dub triple agent?
it got annoying. Like
Yeah.
I knew, like he was like, "I'm the CIA." It's like, oh, wait a second. No, he's not. But then they treat him like he is, and then he's not. I'm like,
Yeah.
well,
It also makes Indy look a bit stupid. That he's like,
does
oh
make him a little bit stupid.
yeah. I think if we just tiptoe into improving,
Okay.
I think it would work better if he was just the CIA. And you
Me
like
too.
tidy up that reveal because having the two reveals is clunky.
It is clunky, but then how do Kate Blanchett and the Russians get to them?
I think you could just say they follow them. I don't think you need. I mean, once you figure out to go through the waterfall, I think the route is pretty straightforward. So I don't think you needed all the trackers all the way up. Like they were like, she's at the bottom of this massive monument, and the monument has opened up, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know where to go. Good things there's trackers going up towards this massive monument in front of me." And also,
Yeah.
how did she get inside the monument? All the stairs closed.
I think you literally just do a, okay, guys, everything's, oh no, they're here. Where did they come from? And have like, no,
And she can be like, "We followed you."
yeah.
I liked the waterfall bit. That made me laugh.
Or like maybe you have the waterfall bit and you just have Kate Blanchett watching them
Yeah, yeah,
fall into the waterfall and being like, okay, it's
yeah.
where we have to go.
Did you like that joke? The waterfalls.
Oh, yeah. Wait, not your joke, the joke in the movie.
Yeah, the joke in the movie.
It was good.
It annoyed me that he kept his hat on the entire time.
Yeah. They do one thing of him almost losing his hat, and that's when they go like off in the rocket,
Yeah,
and it's just like right behind him.
yeah.
He never loses his hat in this movie.
He loses his hat like 14 times and then has to grab it. Like the ants steal it at one point. We didn't talk about the ants.
The ants. What are your thoughts on the
I
ants?
think it's really stupid and like not in a good way because I just have no idea. I don't know if I'd like missed something, but I was like, what is going on at this point?
Well, the ants, I think, planted something deep in my subconscious as a child because it geeked me. Like it did not settle right with me when I saw it for the first time.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't. It creeps me out.
Maybe I'm
But
scared of snakes because of Indiana Jones.
maybe um the answer it doesn't like I don't know. You get a cool bit with the skull though.
Yeah, but it is just the I think the one bit which really sold it to me is stupid is when the Russian guy gets like tipped head first and fully submerged into the world's biggest anthill, which hole for the ants to get out of is like 4 humans sized. And they're just like tipping humans in. And like, what happens to that guy? There's no way ants are just eating him. That was the bit where I was like, this is a bit stupid.
Yeah, that was a little bit stupid.
What I thought was going to happen when you see Kate Blanchett get bitten the first time, I thought it was a little scorpion, and I was like, that's a good callback.
They never did call back to that, did they? You know what is interesting though? I forgot to mention this and I was meaning to.
Chekhov's
You
scorpion.
know
Sorry,
what?
Chekhov's scorpion. I just wanted to say that because Will says I mentioned Chekhov's gun on this podcast a lot.
Oh, there you go, Will. You're welcome. Um, I figured out like, did you know that like when they go to those big artifacts like in the farmyards of like the ant,
Yeah.
those are real?
What's real?
Like, I mean, I forget exactly what they're called, but like they find these like artifacts that like were potentially left by aliens, and they fly over them and they see them in like the grass
Oh
below.
yeah, the like the things in the earth. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those are real. Those
That's cool.
exist.
That's
Yeah. So it's cool to see like that some of like it's obviously not a true story, but like some of it
cool.
is. Oh man, I forgot to tell you. This movie isn't real.
So
It's
they
not.
they made a movie which isn't real. What was the point in that?
Yeah, I know. It's
They
like
should do
at
that
first
again.
you
They
think
should
like,
do
oh my
what every
god.
other film does and just make a true story.
Like for a while I was convinced, you know, that if I fell off a building, Superman would come save me.
For a while, I was convinced that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon worked for Nike, and in this, and are you telling me
Okay.
that Michael Jordan didn't sign a deal with Nike? Are you telling me that was in a fake film? Nike,
Hey, Bunny, can you pause this bit for a second? Why
Nike,
are you calling it that?
because that's how you say it in this country. We've had this conversation before.
It's Nike, bro.
Guy, can we move on and just
Nike.
enjoy the bit? I thought it was a good bit.
Yeah, it was a good bit until you ruined it by saying the name.
That was the
They,
first thing I said. Hey, I
yo,
can't.
bro, they call it Nike in the movie. The CEO's there, and he's like, blah 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 Nike. But you and your entire silly little country decide to call it something wrong, objectively wrong.
Says you.
No,
No, just something everything else you say wrong objectively if we're going off like how it's supposed to be said. I'm pretty sure
oh
like
my
we made the
god.
language. Oh, sorry. Do you speak American? No, you speak English. When you speak, I come out of your mouth because you're speaking English.
No,
Anyway, um,
that was Spanish.
I'm still trying to think of a film that's based on a true story, and my brain just keeps thinking Air. It's the only film I can think of that's based on a true story.
What? Oh, like, isn't? Oh man, what's another? Just like one. I just need one.
Just name one film based on a true story.
Uh, Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill.
I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Moneyball.
Moneyball.
Good and
It was
Belfort.
Moneyball. My second thought was The Wolf of Wall Street,
That was my third thought.
The Pursuit of Happiness,
Mm,
Hacksaw Ridge.
The Quiet Place.
No, Harlan. Harlan, no.
Yeah.
Toy Story 2.
Mm,
It's Toy Story 1, 3, and 4, entirely fictional.
Finding
Toy Story
Dory. Lion King 1.5.
2.
All right, and the bit is over. Okay.
We've
Continuing.
really gone off topic just because I don't think we want to like talk about how to fix this film.
Because I don't think we know how.
It's good.
It's
Like
not a bad
if we
movie.
left this film how it is and changed nothing, it would be better than some of our rewrites.
Probably. What would you give this movie as it is?
Maybe
A 7?
6.5.
6.5, 7?
Mm.
Let's try to get it to an 8.
Okay, I think you just need to restructure the ending. I think if you fix the third act,
How so?
just don't have aliens show up.
You don't make it. Should it be?
I think the aliens should be real.
Okay.
Like, I don't think you can do a reveal in the third act where they're like, oh, and it wasn't aliens, it was something else, and it's a satisfying twist. Because I think in every circumstance, you'll be like, oh, but aliens are cooler.
That's true.
But you can just say, oh, there are these bunch of aliens and they're all dead now. You don't need to have them show up and be like, oh, actually, technically, we're not aliens because we're from a different dimension. We're not from space.
That was weird. Why did they do that?
Yeah, it did
Just
also
make him.
annoy me that John Hurt's guy was just sane at the end. Like, he was just like, okay,
He
hello.
was released.
That's true.
Okay, so you want it to just be regular aliens
Regular aliens.
that are just like that are just dead.
Yeah.
So what happened? So then what? Because then the aliens are dead. The head is back.
So, what if you put the head back? I think you could still do the bit where they all look at Kate Blanchett and kill her.
Okay.
But then I think you need a way for the land the aliens are on to be destroyed still. Do you think, as a dean, not as a dean, like you're a Harlan, I'm a dean, but as a Dean Jones, Dean Dr. Jones, Henry II, he's just the most insane professor because he's trying to convince his students that aliens are real.
I don't think you'd say that.
Yeah, but I just like the idea that they're like, this guy is mad. As Dean Henry Dr. Jones II.
So sorry.
No.
I think I tuned you out at a certain point.
Well, when I kept saying Dean.
Yeah, I just can't hear your name too many times or else I start going insane. It's like Beetlejuice.
So what?
If you say Dean like 9 times, I jump out the window. And you said it 7 times so far.
Dean. Continue.
Anyways, maybe it could be a thing like, okay, Ox had his mind like condemned by the skull, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe once the Russian lady puts the head back, all of the souls that the aliens have like condemned, like and died, like go into like her body and like she's in like, because it doesn't like, why did because she's gifted knowledge that like essentially burns her brains out, right?
Yeah, she knows too much.
Right.
It's a warning for Mutt not to go back to school. I think that's the message of the film.
So how does the place fall
I
apart?
just had an idea. I think
Okay.
it'd be cool. The aliens, the way you get the communication of the aliens is like the aliens start to talk through Ox. And then maybe Ox does something which destroys the place. I don't know. Do you think it would be an unsatisfying ending if you hear so much about aliens and then you just don't see them?
Maybe like you can see them through Ox.
I don't know. I just think it's so lame when the aliens appear. They just look like a boring alien. The skull is
Yeah.
cooler.
But like to be fair, the entire idea is that it's like a 50s B movie
Yeah,
alien, and that's what they
yeah.
look like.
But like you can't. It's that's like that's that to me is like Andy Muschietti being like, oh no, the CGI is supposed to look bad. Like it's not an excuse.
Fair enough. Um, Maybe I don't mind Ox destroying the place. But I was thinking like maybe it would make sense for like Ox people, like it would be like a Indiana Jones like, where are you going, Ox? And he's like, over here. And like he sees an alien pointing towards something that's like essentially a self-destruct button.
Big. I was imagining like a big lever that he pulls, and then the place
Yeah.
starts with water. What if? I don't know. Because I think you do it in a way where Kate Blanchett still stays, and that's why she dies.
Right.
And maybe the aliens look into her, and then she's all like, maybe the alien starts speaking through Ox, but he doesn't do anything. He just speaks, and then she's like, okay, I'll look into all the aliens' eyes, and then she's like, "Blah, blah, blah."
Maybe like she's like in like the middle, right, of the arena or
Yeah,
whatever it is, the throne room, and like you know how her like eyes glow white?
yeah.
Maybe like oh man, maybe like a beam of light shoots through.
This film came out in 2008. This is pre Beam of Light. It would be revolutionary.
It would be revolutionary.
Beam of Light started with like 2012 Avengers.
Boom.
You're
We're
looking for this.
trendsetters.
I don't mind the Beam of Light. It's just often associated with bad films.
That's true. So like I think we could do that. Maybe a beam of knowledge comes from the sky.
How are we making the film worse? We've never done this before.
And that's what destroys the place.
Oh,
What do you
yeah.
like better? A big old self-destruct lever or a beam of knowledge? What sounds better?
I don't get why you want the beam. Why do you want the
I
beam?
don't want the beam, but which would you prefer?
No, but why do we have to have a beam?
We don't have to have a beam, but we only got two options so far.
I'm so confused.
We have a beam of light or the lever pulled by Ox.
Why? Wait, what does the beam of light do though?
It like shoots through the temple and then it like sends the rest crumbling.
I don't know why. I was like, I got just so quickly on board with the beam of light, and I just had no idea what you were talking about.
Like she's like essentially like I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way to destroy this temple.
Yeah, I don't know why your first thought was beams of light.
It wasn't, but I'm just trying to think of some. Do you have any more ideas?
I've started googling films with sky beams. Do you want to hear some?
Sure.
Fifth Element.
Oh,
Uh, I'm just gonna. Oh, apparently Raiders of the Lost Ark counts as a Skybeam. No, it doesn't.
Hmm.
The Avengers, Skybeam. Man of Steel. That's not really a Skybeam because the beam goes down. You know, I don't know how picky I'm getting on my Skybeams. Star Trek 2009, Independence Day,
Hmm.
Death Star, Fant Four Stick, Suicide Squad, Skybeams. You know, they were all the rage. And we're back in the room. No Skybeam. We could do a Skybeam if it does something.
The sky beam destroys the temple. That's what it has to do. And then by the end, the aliens are gone. Maybe they use the Russian as a vessel
You're
to leave
sounding
Earth.
like Oxley. You're like, and then we return the skull, and there's the Skybeam.
The three waterfalls.
I think the place has to get flooded. I think maybe. Okay, here's the idea. What if like they walk into the room and Mutt's like, "Hey, what does this big lever do?" And then Indiana Jones is like, "Clearly that floods the place. Don't pull it, you idiot man." And he's like, "Yeah, fair enough. I won't go shoot any stray dogs." And then he goes stand in the middle. And then Kate Blanchett is like, "I want all the knowledge." And also, like, Ray Winstone didn't betray them again. He's actually CIA. And then he yeah, and then she's like, "Give me all the knowledge," and her face gets melted because all the aliens look at her. And then, like, while her face is melting, she gets like controlled by the aliens, and she walks over and pulls the switch while Oxley's mouth is being all blah blah blah. I'm speaking like the alien, and then there's a sky beam.
So she walks to pull the lever off as her face is melting off.
Well, as she's like controlled by the alien, she looks into the alien, and then she walks over and pulls the lever.
Wait, so you're saying we do a sky beam?
No, the sky beam bit was a joke.
Oh, God.
If you want to do a sky beam, we can do a sky beam.
I don't want to do a sky beam. It
You
would
keep
it
talking
would
about
it would objectively make the movie worse.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
I don't know. The flying saucer is pretty bad.
yeah, but it's an alien.
This film kind of has a sky beam because like the thing opens up and creates light.
Which is a beam. It's a light beam.
I'm going to do a TikTok of ranking all the sky beams.
Go for it. That might do well, actually. Anyways,
It won't. Go on.
so and then the movie, is that the only issue we have with the movie?
I mean, we fixed the thing. I think can we just not have the guy be swallowed into the hole of ants and just have like the ants like
Eat
devour
him.
him?
Yeah.
The big
Yeah.
hole, I was like, this is so stupid. And like I think we could say smaller things like give Harrison Ford less stunts to do and maybe more conversations about how he's like, oh, can't do what he used to do. Because in this film, there's never a meant like, yeah, they like Mutt's like, oh, you're old, but he's never like, oh, I can't do what I used to do, apart from at the start when he's like, we were younger.
Right.
And we had guns. I love Harrison Ford.
We all love Harrison Ford. He's a very silly man. Okay. Is there anything else we're changing about this movie?
Recast Shia LaBeouf as Chris Pratt. Okay, I've got a question.
And Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Do you remember that time in like 2016 when everyone was like they're gonna recast Indiana Jones as Chris Pratt?
No, but I find that very silly.
Yeah. Anyway, if they had to recast Shia LaBeouf, but they had to recast him as an actor who also really loves method acting, and also he had to do the same voice he did in another one of his films, who would the actor be and what would he sound like?
Okay, this is a little bit of a stretch.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know. This one, it's a little niche. I don't know. I might lose you on this one. Okay. Okay. His name,
Mhm.
small town guy,
Yeah.
Jared Leto.
Isn't he the guy that made the crew on that last film he did take him to the toilet in a wheelchair?
Yes. Yes. But that's not the movie I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
The movie I'm thinking of
Hmm.
is called House of, I think it's Louis Vuitton.
Okay. Sorry to derail the conversation, but that's another film based on a true story.
Oh, that's true. But he plays this character
Hmm.
who has an Italian accent.
Called Paolo.
Oh, have you seen this movie?
No, I just know the name of every film character ever.
Okay. What's the name of Shia LaBeouf's character?
In what film?
This Indiana Jones.
Uh, Henry Mutt Jones.
Oh, it's Mutt Williams, but
Oh, it is. Okay, ask me another film.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Could have given you a harder one.
this is the worst podcast we've ever recorded.
Okay. Okay. How do we continue? How do we continue with this?
Mamma mia.
Oh, Mamma Mia! It's me. Okay, what do you give our rewrite out of 10?
4.
Can we give it a 7.5?
I'll give it an 8.
We'll give it an 8. We did it. We done it again.
You know
Look
what?
at
I'll
us.
give it an 11 out of 10.
You need to go to bed, is what you need to do.
Okay. Next week, very boring episode.
Yeah, I might not be able to make it next week.
Okay.
So we'll figure that out.
Got something
Nope.
better to do.
I just don't want to be here.
I'm gonna go Google movies with sky beams.
Are you sure?
Yeah, is there one in Power Rangers? Did you ever watch Power Rangers?
The movie?
Yeah,
No.
with Bryan Cranston.
I don't know why I had to confirm the movie because I haven't seen either.
What, like the 10 Power? Do you know there's a Power Rangers TV show called SPD, and I always thought someone told me that recently, and I thought that was Power Rangers STD, and I laughed.
That's very silly of you.
That person was Evan, who
Oh, that makes sense.
yeah, he was
He
talking
would
to me about Power Rangers when I saw him about a month ago, and I was like, ha ha ha, and he was like, don't you dare laugh at Power Rangers.
Power Rangers is dumb.
And then we
Who
made
said that?
anyway.
No.
This is
Okay.
the worst podcast we've ever recorded, and
Potentially.
on
And that's it. We're done.
we're done.
That's it. No more
Next week,
podcasts.
very boring episode.
Yep.
Adios.
Adios.
Goodbye.